Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam the Ashen, and this is a review of Lords of the Fallen. Came out in October of 2023. It is a somewhat sequel to the Lords of the Fallen that came out years ago, but it doesn't really share anything in common with it. So it is a standalone game. You don't need to have played the previous one, and it is a Souls-like. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So starting off, we have the character creator. It's nothing crazy, nothing like Elden Ring or anything, but it definitely does the job. It's got some good options. The cutscenes are excellent. The graphics are very good. I've heard people have some problems on PC, but I haven't had any problems on console. I also have mine set to performance mode. So right off the bat, I noticed that the combat felt really good. So did the movement, which is really important in games like this. And then we have the umbral mechanic, which is a huge layer to the game. It basically is like a whole nother world in the background, and you can pull out your lantern and see if there's anything hidden. There's completely separate areas that are in the umbral region. You can shift to umbral to get in there permanently for that life, and then you can explore any umbral area. When you die in the regular world, you also get one more chance by going to the umbral world. There's also plenty of areas that are blocked off, as it seems, but you pull out your lantern and there is an opening. It's an excellent mechanic. You have your checkpoints called vestiges, which are very similar to bonfires. Here you can upgrade your character and you can warp to other vestiges right off the bat, which is nice. The combat, which is definitely probably the most important thing about games like these, it is pretty outstanding. I'm definitely impressed. This game could have flopped, especially with an aspect like that. But it didn't. It did really well. I'm really happy with the combat. The moves feel impactful. The weapons are cool. There's a ton of combinations. You can even power stance with different weapons like you could in Dark Souls 2. And it is done very well. There's plenty of variety. The dodging feels precise. The iframes are pretty forgiving. So are the parries. But it works out well because the game has a pretty good difficulty to it. And the game gives you all the tools and mechanics that you need to succeed. Real quick, I want to touch on the bosses. Bosses are really important, especially for Souls-like fans, and the bosses so far, I haven't beaten the game, but I'm pretty far in. The bosses so far are really good, and the big fights are phenomenal. They all have their own special mechanics, and I won't spoil anything, but so far the boss fights have been excellent. Now, another very important aspect of Souls-likes or any action RPG like these is exploration, and the exploration is done phenomenally. It's probably the game's strongest aspect, and a big part of that is the umbral mechanic, because wherever you go, for a lot of the times you're gonna have pretty much twice as much to explore. Each area, at least somewhere, has something hidden in umbral, and it's up to you whether you want to seek that out or not. But the game does a good job of rewarding you for going out of your way to seek out extra things.
Welcome, Dark Crusader.
After a little while, you get to reach your home hub, where you'll have some NPCs and some tools that'll help you along your journey. You can tell they took some inspiration from Firelink Shrine, specifically from Dark Souls 3, and it is done pretty well. I'm a fan of it. So you might be thinking, Sam, you haven't really mentioned anything bad. Well, I am a little bit biased. I'm a huge Dark Souls fan and a Souls-like fan. But the main thing that bothers me about the game so far is just the slight lack of polish. There are some areas and spots and just some lags in the game that bother me a little bit, but it's not prevalent enough to really affect the game a whole lot, at least on PlayStation 5. But this is also something that can be fixed in future updates, so I have faith that they will do that. Gameplay-wise, mechanics-wise, combat, exploration, all that is done very well, and that is the most important thing, in my opinion. So despite the lack of polish being mentioned, it is, I think, still a full finished release, and it's worth buying it if you're a fan of Souls-likes. Overall, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. If I was being biased, I might say 8 or 9 because I like Souls-like so much, but I'll stick with the 7.5 out of 10. I appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed it, liking and commenting really helps me out a lot. Seriously, every person counts. If you want to see more from me, subscribing to the channel is a great way to do that. I appreciate you watching. Have a good one.